Welcome to Adventures in TV Land, another rambling review. For this rambling review, we're going to talk about the movie Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu is the first Star Wars movie to see the big screen in almost 7 years, since 2019, The Rise of Skywalker. But this movie is actually based off the TV show The Mandalorian. It was on Disney Plus. It had one pretty good season, an okay season, and one horrible season. And this episode, or I say episode because this is basically this movie. It is like a couple, like 2.5 Mandalorian episodes combined together with a little bit better special effects and things like that. But the movie, it starts off, the Mandalorian and Grogu, his ward, his apprentice, they are hunting down former Empire leaders for the New Republic. And there's this big action sequence in a world that's it's a cold world, somewhat resemblant of Hoth, but not exactly. But there's a lot of snow. It's really cold. You've seen part of it in the trailers. But that takes place, and then instead of, well, I don't want to give any major spoilers away, but things don't go the way exactly as planned. And then you come into the second part of the movie after this, where Mando, he's sent on this quest to meet with the Hutts to negotiate, to try to find this mysterious Empire leader that no one knows who he really is, no one knows his identity, things like that. In order to do that, the Hutts, these twins that were the brother and sister of Jabba, they want their nephew, Jabba's son, Rada, who was last seen in the animated movie. I believe it was the last time he was seen, but he was in the animated movie of The Clone Wars that started off the whole Clone Wars animated series. Anyway, Rada the Hutt, they want him brought back. They say he's been kidnapped and is being held prisoner. So Mando and Grogu, they go to find Rada. Once again, things aren't exactly the way they seemed. Things unfold. And they don't go exactly as planned. And the movie deviates a little bit from there. It gets into the second part of the film where Mando is captured and Grogu is left to save Mando. And that's about it. That's about the synopsis without giving too much away of what happens. Now, this film, even though the previews and some of the things didn't leave me excited for the movie's not that bad of a movie. It's a fun kind of movie, but to be honest, it's not an epic Star Wars movie. It's not, a Star Wars movie used to be this big epic thing. This movie is not. It's not a very big film in the sense of like the scope or the scale. It's very contained, and it's, it feels like a TV movie, or like I said, just a couple of 2.5 episodes of a Mandalorian show weaved together into one, and a little bit more coherently, in fact, than some of the Mandalorian episodes. The budget, things look a little bit bigger in that scale. I mean, the explosions and some of the effects, things like that. But it didn't feel epic. It didn't feel grandiose like a Star Wars movie should feel. But it's not horrible. If you were a kid, particularly a young boy, young male, you might really enjoy this film. But it doesn't have much to do with Star Wars other than the fact that it's tied into the sequel trilogy, the Disney Star Wars that has come out since Disney bought Lucasfilm. So there's not a whole lot tying it back to. There's a few references there. There's a character from the Rebels animated TV series that's in the movie. There's a couple other throwbacks there, but other than that, there's not a whole lot that really connects it to the overall arching Star Wars universe. So it feels very small in that scope. So it doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie. It feels like a TV movie, or 2.5 episodes of a TV show. I was surprised. I was expecting it to be a little bit worse than what it came off as being. There are some things that don't make sense at all that I had to shake my head at or just laughed out loud, not because they were funny, but because it's like, what's going on? That makes no sense whatsoever. For instance, there's a ship they come across, they find in the middle of this swamp planet, and the ship crashed just a few days beforehand, at the most, maybe a week beforehand. But the inside of the ship and the outside of the ship, it looks like it's been crashed and been there for years with the layer of dust and everything that's over, and the plants that are growing up inside of it. And it's just like, okay, that would not have been the case. This ship would not have been looking so bad for having just crashed there a few days ago. There's things like that, weird things that happen. Overall, I mean, if you've seen the Mandalorian TV series, you might enjoy this movie. I say might because you might not, especially after the disastrous season 3 of The Mandalorian. I mean, this is better than season 3. It's like it almost totally ignores season 3 for most aspects. Doesn't feel like an epic Star Wars movie. Star Wars movies used to mean something, and this doesn't really mean much at all, to be honest. So on a to F scale, I will give this, I'm being somewhat generous here, but I will give this a solid B, and that's being generous. It should be more of like a B minus, but I will give this a B because it was better than I expected, and the overall kind of storyline, even though there's two plots going on, they did tie it together pretty well. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So that's The Mandalorian and Grogu, or Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you disliked it, the dislike button. This has been another Rambling Review from Adventures in TV Land. Thank you, and until next time, that's a wrap.